So you think a
Yes.
10-year-old rape victim should be forced to go through a pregnancy?
Like I said, you're having to pick between two evils.
Is that your answer? Or like,
Yes,
I
I'm
don't know why
picking the
people don't
lesser of
like
two
answering
evils.
questions directly. We are just looking for debates.
Bates.
What's up? How old are you?
19,
What's your birth year?
2007,
What month you born?
April,
Election held today. Harris versus Trump. Who would you rather vote for?
Trump,
What year did you graduate high school?
2025.
Okay. Why do you support Trump?
He's the closest president of my lifetime to my values.
Okay. And what makes you think that?
He pushes policies that are closest to what I agree with, mainly things like abortion, immigration, moving the Overton window right in general on most things.
Okay. And would you like to go on your strongest specific topic that you care about the most relating to your right-wing values?
Well, I'm Christian, so I know he's not great on abortion, but he is one of the main reasons why Roe v. Wade got overturned.
Okay.
So that's one of the
And you
big
support that?
reasons. Yeah.
Do you think rape victims should be able to get access to an abortion?
Yeah, what you're doing is called a reductio ad absurdum fallacy. You're using an exception to justify
That's
a
not a
rule.
fallacy.
It is. You're using the 1% to justify the
Reductio ad
99%.
absurdums are not a fallacy.
You're using the 1%
The
to justify
reductio
the
ad
99%.
absurdum fallacy. Did you make that one up yourself?
No, you can look it up. The reducto ad absurdum fallacy. It's
That's
called
not a
using an
fallacy.
extreme to justify the rule.
Sir,
If you
that's
wanna
not
do
a
that,
fallacy. Where did you find that?
Look it up on Google.
No, because I know it's not a thing.
If you want to use the 1% to justify the
The
99%,
reductio ad
that's fine.
absurdum fallacy. What?
But I can do the same thing. Do you think that 9-month
Do you want me
abortions
to
are
kick
wrong?
you, bro? Like, come on. You admit that that's not a fallacy, right?
Look it up on Google.
Brother, using a reductio to someone's view is a logical implication of the view to either reduce it to a contradiction or an absurdity, okay? I'm not using it as a general rule, right? To say that, like, oh, specifically that I'm then gonna then grant something to be true because of it. No, it's supposed to criticize a perspective. It's simply whether
You're
you just
using it to-
reduce a view to that.
Yes, it's a fallacy generally used to discredit something by taking it to its extreme, but you're using it to justify something by taking it to its extreme.
Wait, say that one more time.
In general, the reductio ad absurdum fallacy is used to criticize a position by going to its extreme, but you're using it to justify a position by taking it to its extreme.
No, I never used it to justify a position. I used it to criticize your position. Like I just said, it was me criticizing your perspective, not me using it as a justification for a worldview.
When you're trying to justify abortion, you say, what about rape victims or incest victims? You're using it
Yeah,
to you're saying
literally
abortion
when
should
you
be legal because of the 1%.
Yeah, I don't know where you see that it's a fallacy, brother.
All right, well, Maryland just legalized abortion up until birth. Do you think 9-month abortions are wrong?
Wait, hold up. Let me see. Say it one more time.
Maryland just legalized abortion up
You're
until birth.
misunderstanding. I realize what you're misunderstanding. What you're trying to do is, jeez, you misunderstood. It's pointing out a fallacy like in someone else, not that it's a fallacy in of itself. I think you like misunderstood, like when you were like looking these things up.
Pointing out a fallacy.
It's pointing out like the errors in someone's reasoning.
The error in someone's reasoning being using an extreme to justify the rule.
Wait, so that they're using a specific argument to justify something. This is the logical implication of this. We're not using a rule or getting a rule off of showing that they have produced an extremism. We're just showing that their view is less preferable to accept as opposed to other views.
Yeah, you're taking it to its logical endpoint. You're using something that almost never happens to justify the thing as a whole.
What? No, we're using something specifically that would be a logical implication of that reasoning to show that that reasoning wouldn't be applicable to all circumstances. To say, why would you apply it in one scenario as opposed to the other? What would be the justification for it in one scenario as opposed to the other? That would make it justified in one scenario but not the other.
Well, I think abortion should be illegal in all cases. So I'm not justifying anything.
Okay? You think it should be illegal in all cases,
Yes.
even
And
when the
obviously
pregnant individual will die.
If you have to choose between the life of the mother and the baby, then I think they should try saving both of them if possible. Like if the baby is
Sir,
past
if
5
the
months,
mother will die if she is not allowed to get an abortion, do you think she should be able to get access to an abortion?
if the baby is past 5 months and viable, then you can save both of them. Before
I'm
that,
asking
if the
you.
baby can't survive on its own, so yes.
Yes, you can get an abortion.
That would be the only case where it's acceptable because the baby literally cannot survive on its own.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
have to choose.
Okay. So
Past 5 months, once the baby is viable, then you can save both of them.
okay. So then here's my question. Because there's a viable fetus in that scenario. So, I'm asking you. I'll ask you a question specifically about. You just said abortion is justified in that context. What about for rape victims? A 10-year-old rape victim. Do you think they should be forced to go through a pregnancy?
That's picking. In that case, you have to pick between two evils. And in this case, it's picking between the lesser of two evils to say that abortion should still be legal.
So you think it should be legal in that
Illegal.
context, or illegal? So you think a
Yes.
10-year-old rape victim should be forced to go through a pregnancy?
Like I said, you're having to pick between two evils.
Is that your answer, or like
Yes.
I don't know why
I'm picking the
people
lesser
don't
of
like
two
answering
evils.
questions directly. Would you like to directly answer the question?
Yes.
So
I'm
yes,
picking the lesser of two
okay.
evils
So
and
yeah, you
saying
think
it should
you
still
think the
be illegal.
10-year-old rape victim should be traumatized again after she was already traumatized so badly to be forced to go through a pregnancy? Let's say if they have lifelong debilitating conditions that are a result of this particular pregnancy, but they weren't going to die from the pregnancy. Do you think they should be forced to go through it?
The right to life is the most fundamental right of all rights. If you don't have that,
I
then you
just
don't
need a
have
direct
anything
answer
else.
to the
So
question. I
abortion.
don't need some platitudes. I need some a direct answer to a question. Do you think
Here,
if there is
I'll give
a
you an answer to every.
long-term, go ahead.
I'll give you an answer to every question you can ask. Any viable fetus should not be illegal to abort any viable fetus. Period. In any scenario.
If it wait, you're saying viable. This is after the point of viability, right?
Any
So after
viable
the point of
fetus.
viability, it's
If
just an
you're in a
induction of, sir, after any point of viability, it's the induction of labor. We're not talking about that yet. Please answer my points.
any viable, if a fetus is viable or it can be brought to term, like the mother can take it to where it's viable without getting an abortion, it should not be legal in any of those cases.
So you think that a 10-year-old rape victim, if they were to go through a pregnancy and it won't lead to their death, but it will lead to them having a long-term, lifelong, debilitating condition, right? Do you think that they should be forced to go through that pregnancy?
Well, how do you know that it's going to lead to a lifelong
I'm
debilitating issue
supposing that
without
you
looking into
have
the future?
I'm supposing that you have this information, sir.
Killing a baby is still worse, yes.
So you would say the 10-year-old rape victim should be forced to go through that pregnancy, even considering the fact that they will have a debilitating lifelong condition because of said pregnancy.
Like I said, it's picking between the lesser of two evils. Both situations are absolutely horrible.
Dude, I think the lesser of two evils is allowing the fucking abortion. It's
How many times has this even happened
do you think
in life?
embryos are as valuable as newborns?
Embryos as valuable as newborns?
Yeah.
Well, I think they have. In that case, it's like you have to get into, like, both lives are valuables, but the newborn is viable. It can live on its own outside of like a freezing tube. So if you have to pick between saving a baby and an embryo, you're going to pick the baby.
Okay, so then why can't you pick the 10-year-old rape victim, right, over the fucking embryo, dude?
If they can both survive,
Dude, you have
then
to
it's
understand that
always
they're going
better
to
than
have a
only one of them surviving.
debilitating lifelong condition due to this.
Well, I can flip it and use the other extreme. Maryland just legalized abortion up until birth. Do you think a woman who
I think that
is
after
crazy and wants to get an
viability,
abortion at 9
like you,
months,
sir,
do
like
you
you
think
just
that's
said,
wrong?
well, it's an induction of labor at that point.
Yeah, and then Do you think a 9-month abortion, the woman, like, there's no reason why she's
Sir, it's
getting it,
just
she just
early
decides to
birth.
get it, is
It's
wrong?
just early birth.
Yeah, and then the baby dies.
Wait, no, it
They,
doesn't. Because it's
a
viable.
9-month abortion, if they
Sir,
kill the
it's
baby.
viable.
Yes, it's viable. That's what I'm saying. Do you think
Yeah, so they
post
induce
viability
labor.
abortions? Do you
So they
think post
induce labor.
viability abort? Do you think
It's not a
post
lethal.
viability?
It's not a lethal abortion. They induce labor.
There have been lethal abortions post viability though.
I would disagree with lethal abortions post viability. Like what?
Okay, so you think that post viability abortions are wrong?
Sir, yeah, if you get a lethal abortion post viability, yeah, that would be wrong because you can just induce labor and it doesn't lead to the death of it. Because you have to give birth to either a dead fetus or an alive fetus. There'd be no benefit to killing it. I would love to see the cases you're referencing.
Of Gianna Jensen's testimony in 2015 to the U.S. House.
Say that one more time.
Have you ever heard of Gianna Jensen's testimony in 2015 to Congress?
No.
In 2015, she testified that because she is an abortion survivor herself, her mother tried to get her aborted with a saline injection, but she survived and the mother ended up keeping her. She testified in front of Congress under oath that she knows personally a nurse who in 1976 tried giving a post-viability abortion with a saline injection, but it failed and the baby was born alive.
So wait,
So
the
she was
last case
instructed.
you have of this is in like the 70s, bro.
Obviously, stuff like this isn't going to be public, so the only examples we have are from whistleblowers. This nurse was instructed to put the baby in a bucket of formaldehyde and leave it
Dude,
in a closet so
yeah,
if it died,
I would
and it could
disagree
be
with that. That's
disposed as
horrible.
medical waste.
I think that's horrible. If it's post viability, it makes no sense to do that.
Okay, good. At least we can find some common ground on something.
What, dude? I'm sorry. Like, that's
We
obvious.
both
You can,
agree that
it's
we both agree
viable at
that
that
killing
point.
babies post viability is wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Okay, so do you think a national post viability abortion ban would be acceptable?
You have to understand that induction of labor is what's happening at that point. So laws restricting abortion access prevent people from getting it in the situations of exception, right? Whereas specifically, right, like in any other instance, it would be different for how laws operate. The benefits in a scenario are not exceeding the costs.
So what would be the cost of banning abortion post viability?
Yeah, like I told you, it could restrict people from having access to abortion in situations where they need it, in the situations of the exception.
Where would an abortion be viable post viability, or where would it be acceptable post viability?
Again, we're just saying the termination of pregnancy, the induction of labor. You're saying the lethal termination of it. Like if yeah, I think that it should be illegal if you were to like if there's like obviously birth, you kill it lethally. Like no one's
Yeah,
disputing that.
abortion isn't
I
just
think there's
the
already laws on this.
inducing early labor is an
Wait,
abortion.
do you agree
Isn't
there's
an abortion.
already laws on this? I don't know why you're acting like this isn't the case.
Abortion is legal till birth in some certain blue states.
Which, wait, by the way, you agree with because it's the overturning of Roe versus Wade, which leaves it up to the states.
It allowed certain red states to restrict abortion. So in general, I think it helps move the window closer towards
You
restricting
have to
abortion.
understand that it allows for abortion to be determined those later times as well.
Yes, that's terrible, but
Okay, so then like
it
I don't
also
know what
allowed
your
it.
point is
It
here.
allowed some. Yes, it brought it to the states and allowed some states to. It got rid of the national law that, or not law, the national ruling that made abortion mandatory, and so that clears the way so
Abortion
that eventually,
mandatory?
not oh my god, that made it mandated states have abortion legal, and so that
Yeah,
clears the way
up to
for a
viability.
new ruling or law.
Up to viability, by the way.
Yes, and so that clears the way for eventually a new law or ruling that restricts abortion.
So would you be okay with allowing for access to abortion prior to viability?
Only in the case where you have to pick between the mother and the child. Like
No,
the
no, I
mom
meant
will
like
die
I
if
meant like in elective circumstances.
in elective circumstances, no.
Okay. I guess let me ask you this question. Like, if like if my girlfriend got pregnant and I paid for her abortion because she wanted one, would you say that I should go to jail?
In that case, you're paying for the murder of a baby, so you should go to court, and the jury should decide what should happen.
So should I go to jail?
If the jury thinks you, if the jury thinks with
A
the evidence
jury in
presented
our
that you should, yeah.
current life would not be okay with that. They're not going to send me to jail for an abortion.
Well, in some super red states they
I
would.
live in California, sir.
Yeah, okay, yeah, then you wouldn't go to jail.
Yeah, I'm not going to jail for that shit. But I'm asking you, do you think I should go to jail? If you were a member of the jury, how would you vote?
Personally, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing as murdering a baby.
No, it's
That's what I
not.
believe as a Christian.
No, it's not. And also, by the way, you don't have to believe that as a Christian. Nothing
Why
about being
not?
Christian means you have to believe that. Do you think it's murder to pull the plug on an individual in your family that's brain dead?
If the doctor came in and said there is a 99% chance that
No, they're
your
brain dead,
family
which means
member
they're
is
never
going,
coming back, but they
yes,
still are
exactly.
cellularly living.
If the doctor said there is a 99% chance they're going to wake up and become conscious in 9 months, then yes, that would be wrong. If you just left them alone and they would eventually wake
I like
up,
how you're like
that would be
purposefully
wrong.
not
And that's the
understanding
same.
my argument. Let me please explain the argument. Right, the point of value of life that you have is for sentient life, not for cellular life. So when sentient life ends, you consider it okay to pull the plug. Okay, so before sentient life begins, why do you think it's wrong to pull the plug?
Because it's going to become, you're ending
But it hasn't yet.
a life that is going to become
But it hasn't
sentient.
yet.
Okay, but it's still wrong to end it before it can become
Yeah, it's
sentient
just
life.
potential. Why? Why is it wrong? It's just potential in of itself. That's like saying it's wrong to like fucking pull out.
No, because
Yeah,
sperm is 100% your DNA.
yeah, but you
It's not, it doesn't have
wait,
its own
it's
unique DNA.
not.
The moment a
It's
sperm and an,
different than like your specific just DNA itself. Like it,
the moment a
but
sperm and
like
an egg
hold up,
fertilize, it creates a unique DNA sequence that's never existed before and never will exist again. That's when
wait,
it becomes life.
wait, hold up, pause.
Before that, before that, sperm is entirely 100% your DNA. So it's not a unique life.
Sir, in the scenario where two people are having sex, there's active potential there because there is an egg and there's sperm, and they're en route because they're
Mm-hmm.
So you understand there's active potential there to produce a kid. If there's active
Mm-hmm.
potential there to produce a kid, well, then
Mm-hmm.
obviously, under your view, it seems like you would consider that morally valuable.
Well, I mean, certain Christians consider doing anything to
Do
prevent
you?
pregnancy wrong. Personally, no, because in that
So
case,
who cares?
once an egg and once a sperm and an egg fertilize, if you just leave it alone, it becomes life.
Okay.
You don't have to actively do something to prevent
Okay, so watch
life
this.
from
Watch this.
forming in that
Let's say we
scenario.
have a petri dish, like a contraption in front of us, where you click a button, you have a sperm and egg on track to fertilize. You click a button, which means in an hour that will happen. Okay. Would it be wrong if you break the contraption prior to conception occurring after clicking the button 2 minutes prior? If you just
I mean, that would be
left it to its own devices because you already clicked the button, there would be fertilization. But I fucking destroyed that shit for fun because I thought it was interesting for an
well, that would be
experiment. Okay.
property damage, so that would be wrong.
Well, it's my own stuff.
Okay. It becomes wrong once the sperm and the egg fertilize because you're destroying a unique DNA sequence.
What? So,
Once the
you
sperm
said
and
it's
the egg,
only wrong once there's sperm and the egg fertilized. You have to understand the basis for what you considered valuable was the potential. The potential exists. If you leave it to its own accordance, there will be a person there.
you have,
Do you think sperm lives matter?
again, you're using insane, absurd like exceptions to justify the rule.
I'm asking you, do you think sperm lives would matter in this circumstance?
It doesn't have its own unique DNA sequence. It's not a unique life, so no.
No, so they wouldn't. But
Once
wait,
it's a
sperm is
unique,
living though. Sperm's living,
it's 100% your DNA.
but it's living.
Once it becomes
Wait, dude.
unique,
Hey, sir.
once it
Sperm is
becomes
living.
unique, yes, it's a living part of you. It's 100% your DNA. It is completely part of you.
Completely 100%, but it has potential.
If you actively go and fertilize an egg, then it can
But it's
become
on route.
a
Remember,
baby.
it's in a contraption that's on route to fertilize an egg. Remember, you click the button, it's on route. It's going to do it in less than an hour.
Again, that's like an absurd example to justify
So, like, he just doesn't
the
like
rule.
engaging with the example.
Once it becomes fertilized, that's when it becomes wrong to actively terminate it.
But like, why not like 1 second before fertilization?
because it hasn't become a unique life yet.
Oh, okay. So like, there hasn't been a unique subjective experience yet. So why would we value it?
Once it becomes a unique life, once it becomes a unique,
But
once they
like, you didn't think
fertilize
that's
and it creates a
valuable
unique
when they're brain
DNA
dead.
sequence.
There's unique life when they're brain dead. They're
Yeah, but
cellularly living.
they're never going to become conscious again.
Okay, well, that's what you value? If you get an abortion prior to sentience, they never will become conscious.
But if you just leave them alone, they will become
Yeah, wait, but like
sentient
again, if you prevent that from happening, they'll never become conscious. Who cares?
because the you're destroying a cellular life that is going to become sentient if you just leave it alone
Yeah, that's the
and
exact
let it
same. That's the exact
gestate.
same thing that would be
Hmm.
happening if you break the contraption with the sperm cell and the egg. Boom. Because there will be a sentient being in the future if you allow it to continue on those practices. But because I decided to fucking destroy it for fun, it's not gonna happen.
Have you ever read Thomas Aquinas?
No.
He talks about he's a famous Catholic
Wait,
philosopher.
Thomas
He
Aquinas
talks.
didn't value at conception.
He
Thomas Aqu
thinks
Thomas Aquinas.
he
Wait, do you
thought
agree
that
Thomas Aquinas didn't think it was a person or valuable at conception?
that's the example that I'm bringing up. He thought that it wasn't an ensouled life until I think 20 days in or something like that. But before that,
Yeah,
he still
40
thought it was
40
more like
days for men,
yes,
80 days for women.
yes, he's not 100% right, but in general, he said that even before the embryo or even before the baby was ensouled, it was still wrong to abort it because it was still a life.
Okay? So it was wrong to abort it because it still had a life. Before
It's
the
still
point
a
of
life,
ensoulment?
and it's before he thought that getting an abortion, even before he thought that a baby was ensouled, he still thought that was wrong and a sin because it was still actively going out of your way to kill a future. I mean, it is a human already, but you're killing something that is going to, if you leave it alone, have a soul.
Okay, but if you kill it before that point, it never will have a soul.
Yeah, if you actively go out of your
Yeah.
way
So then like what's wrong
to
with doing that?
kill
Because you just
something
prevented it from having the valuable thing in and of itself. So who cares?
because it's still a unique human life. In the
Yeah, but
case of
you
the
don't
sperm and the egg,
value
it's
that.
not a unique human
You don't
life yet.
value the fucking human life. You value the soul.
It is
Who fucking cares
yes.
about the flesh? You care about the soul.
I personally think it has a soul is as soon as it becomes viable, as soon as it becomes
Sentient, which
fertilized.
is around 20 through 24 weeks. You think ensoulment happens at conception?
If you look, yes, if you look at
Can I ask you a question?
conception,
You're in
there's
a
like a little
burning
spark.
building. You're in a burning building. You can either save two zygotes or one newborn baby. Who you saving?
Yeah, you save the newborn baby.
So you'd rather save one baby over two babies?
The baby will suffer more if you let it die.
Okay, so you care about the suffering more than
The
life?
zygotes,
Wait,
the
so
zygotes
hold up. You
won't
care more about
suffer.
suffering than life?
In the case of having to pick between two lives, you have to pick
So
between
you
the
care more
one
about
that.
preventing suffering than human life? Oh my god,
No, they're
that's such a
both
good way to
human.
frame it.
No, no, they're both human lives. You have to, if you
No,
have to
think about it
pick
this way. Think
between
about it
one
this
human
way.
life or another human life, then you have
Watch
to pick
this.
which one has more potential.
Watch
It's
this.
why in the case of
There's more
picking
potential with the
between a
two
woman and a baby,
zygotes. Because think about it this way. Think about it this way. There is one life, right, on behalf of the newborn baby. On the two zygotes, there are two lives. Okay?
mhm,
Both those lives have potentials. There's two potentials there. So
both of those lives are
you
valuable,
value
but
the one life plus suffering more than you value the two lives. Both of the futures.
not all fertilized eggs and sperm survive. So the baby has more potential to grow up and become an adult human than the two zygotes do.
If we assume the same potentiality, save the new zygotes.
I'd still probably pick the baby.
I would think so, right? So then you
Yes,
value suffering
I'd
more
still
than
pick the
life.
baby. You're picking between life and life.
So no, so you value suffering more than life. It's no, you're picking it's either two lives or one life plus suffering. You value suffering more than life
The
because
zygotes,
each
if
one
they
you remove one life from both sides of the equation because there's one newborn, one zygote, both life. Boom.
uh
Now all you have left is one life and one suffering. You value the suffering more than you do the life.
if they die, they're not gonna actively suffer before they die. The baby is
Exactly.
also
So you
able to.
value so
The
you
baby is
value
able
the
to exist.
suffering more than you value the life.
The baby is also able to exist on its own with help, obviously, but it's able to
Wait, so
exist
but
as an
you're again not
independent thing.
understanding. In the hypothetical you provided, you valued the suffering more than you did the life. And if that's the case, then why do you think that someone shouldn't be able to get access to an abortion? Because they have to undergo suffering.
I value all life, but because oh my god,
Welcome to
all life is
varsity.
valuable. All life is valuable, but if you're in a situation where you have to pick between lives and you have to save one and not save the others, then you have to look at which one is the best to save, basically. Like if you have to pick between, if you're in this like insane scenario where you're in a burning building and you have to pick between either saving a baby or two fertilized embryos, then you're going to pick the baby because it's able to live and exist on
So
its own
embryos
with
aren't
help.
babies. Let's just clarify that.
They're just not born yet.
Oh, so you'd rather pick one baby over two babies?
You
One
pick
baby is more
the
valuable
baby
than to you than two babies?
you
I
pick
thought
the
I thought
baby
one is less valuable than two. I thought
you
two
pick
was a higher number than one.
you pick
So
the
that's what
baby
I
that's
learned in school.
you pick the born baby because it can
The born
exist
baby. So
on it.
being born gives you more value.
It can exist on its own in the world with help.
Okay. And
Again, you're using like absurd
are you saying it's more
examples.
valuable once it's viable?
You're using absurd examples to justify
Is it more valuable when it's
a rule
born
like
and
that.
viable?
Is it more valuable when it's born? All life is valuable.
Is it of the same value? Is all
I think
life of the
all
same value?
I think all I think all human life is equally valuable.
Okay, so then the human lives of the zygotes are just as valuable as the human lives of the newborn babies? So one newborn baby's life is equal to one zygote's life? So you would save the two zygotes over the one newborn baby?
No.
So you don't value lives equally.
Yeah, you can use absurd scenarios all day to justify things.
I think you're just coping. Welcome to varsity.
Uh-huh. You you're just using absurd scenarios that are never going to happen to justify something that happens all the time.
I'm sorry, I'm using a very clear example in order to be able to show you that your preferences and
You're
values
using
contradict with the idea that you value zygotes the same as you value newborns.
you're
Okay, you
using an
think you
absurd
value all
scenario.
human lives equally. I gave you a very clear example that you do not value all lives equally. It's called critical thinking skills. You should learn it.
You're using an absurd scenario.
That's the point.
An
That's
abs-
called critical thinking.
you're bringing it to its logical extreme, which again is the
Yeah, I
fallacy that
brought
I
your
brought up.
position to the extreme of it.
Yes,
Yeah, I highlighted that
and
extremism in the view. Yeah,
bringing
I showed
bringing
your
a
view to be
general to
extreme.
its
Yeah,
insane logical extreme that's never going
I
to
literally
happen.
showed your view to be extreme. That's the point of this. I showed you based upon your own reasonings and why you value things, based upon how you value it. You are going to, based upon your own values, value, again, a newborn baby more than you're going to value a zygote, but you want to claim based upon your values that you value the zygote just as much as you value the newborn baby. And if you do value the newborn more than you value the zygote, there are specific reasons why you value the newborn more than you value the zygote. Those specific reasons why you value the newborn more than you value the zygote are probably going to be relevant to why you would probably value a pregnant individual, their experiences, their bodily autonomy, and their human rights more than you would specifically the zygote, the embryo, or the non sentient being specifically that you're allowing to get aborted. That's the
Well,
point that I'm making.
I already said that if you have to pick between a pregnant woman and her non-viable baby, then I'm gonna
Yeah, but we're
with the
talking about
pregnant
just in the
woman.
circumstance where people specifically want an abortion, because otherwise they will go through suffering if they can't get the abortion that they want to get. So if
The,
you value
she's
suffering more than you value life, just in of itself, just cellular life, you're obviously going to value the ability to choose to be able to get access to an abortion to prevent the suffering of the individual who's pregnant in the event of there being an embryo, specifically because you value prevention of suffering more than you value the life of the zygote or of the embryo. Because who
you're
the
not
fuck cares
picking
about a zygote or an embryo?
you're not picking suffering over life. You're picking
You
the
are.
prevention
You
of
do.
death and suffering over the prevention of just death. You're picking life and suffering over life.
Exactly, which means you're just wait, you're picking life and suffering over life and life.
You're saying that's more
Listen.
valuable. You're saying life
I
and
maybe I need to
suffering is
like put
more.
this on the screen for you or something, okay? Life plus life versus life plus suffering. In the
Mhm.
equation, if life plus life is equal to life plus suffering, that means you can take out life on both sides. They cancel each other out. Okay? Now it's a life equals life is more valuable, or sorry, suffering is more valuable than life. Because you said life and suffering is more valuable than life and life.
What I'm saying is if you actively choose to terminate a pregnancy that would otherwise be viable if you just leave it
I
alone,
should
then
buy a
that's
whiteboard,
wrong.
chat. Honestly, at this point, I should.
That's all that my position is saying. It's that if you actively choose to terminate a pregnancy that is viable otherwise, that is wrong. That's it.
Okay, did you hear anything I said?
That's my position.
How about let's reduce it down to like equations, okay? So we're going to turn life into X and suffering into Y, okay? Is that fine?
I
So
see what you're
X plus X is equal to X plus Y, or sorry, not equal to. If X plus X is less valuable than X plus Y, then you can cancel out the X's on both sides, right? Because there's one X in the other one. Because if you minus the X from the right side over to the right, it's just one X on the left side. One X is less valuable than Y. So if Y is more valuable than X, that means suffering, which was Y, is more valuable than X, that was life. Does that make more sense now?
I see what you're saying, but you're having to pick between life that has more the baby's life has it's already a born human being. And so you're going to save it over the the two embryos that are still only embryos.
Okay. I think that you've hit an impasse here. I don't know if you can move from this. Maybe you need to go back to the drawing books.
You're That's never going to happen though. A scenario like that is never going to happen. In the 99.9% of cases where
It
it's just
doesn't
a
need
woman
to
getting an
it
elective
doesn't need
abortion.
to happen. It just needs to be possible. Think about like if you're trying to build a school and they're telling you that you need to focus on building the school in a manner in which could prevent something bad from happening to them. For example, earthquake prevention,
Mhm.
right? It's very unlikely that you're going to have a really bad earthquake, but you need to have earthquake prevention in order to be able to prevent it in the event that it might happen if there's an area in which specifically you could possibly see like a large earthquake or in areas in which you could see hurricanes or tornadoes. We have emergency type scenarios. Even though it's unlikely for these things to happen, we are still going to think of the hypothetical scenario of it happening to be able to then build something that can reduce the likelihood of something harmful happening to us in the event that that possibly does occur. That's why we buy insurance. Okay?
When do you think life becomes valuable then?
When do I think life becomes valuable?
Yeah. When would you think
Sentience.
that it So if in the future we're able to create a technology that can save a baby from being aborted before that and like raise it in like a go from raising it in a woman's womb to like uh, an artificial womb or something, do you think it would be wrong to abort the baby in that scenario?
This is not a baby when it's an embryo. I wouldn't have an issue with it if it's an embryo. But like if you already have it in one of these devices and you can keep it in the device, don't really have a problem with you keeping it. There'd be no reason to prevent it from being in that device. But does someone have a if does someone have the obligation to go through the context of a pregnancy? No. In this instance, they would be able to terminate the pregnancy without it leading to the death of the embryo, because the embryo would be able to continue to live.
When do you think sentience begins?
When do I think sentience begins? 20 through 24 weeks in the womb.
So you think abortions post 23, 24 weeks are wrong, and before then is
If it's
fine?
lethal elective.
If it's a lethal elective abortion past 23, 24 weeks, you think that's wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. That's more sane than some people I've seen.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to bring up? Because I mean, you say that, but then you also think 10-year-old rape victims should be forced to go through a pregnancy, even if they are going to get a debilitating condition for the rest of their life. So
That's a
you are
horrible
not sane.
scenario.
Yeah, and you aren't sane because you conceded to it.
You have to, when you have to pick between two evils, one of them is going to create a
That is
horrible scenario.
unconscionable. That sorry, I can't even speak the word. Unconscionable is that the word? I can't remember the how the specifics say it right now. That's fucking crazy. That's
Yeah,
better.
it is, and it's a terrible scenario that's
Like
probably happened.
how the
You
fuck
count the amount of times
how
that
the
that's happened
fuck
on one
could you
hand.
ever come to that position where you'd be like, yeah, I'm totally okay with a kid going
I'm
through
not
that.
okay with it.
The fuck
It's a
no. It's an
it's a terrible
embryo,
scenario.
sir. It's a fucking embryo. You don't give a shit about an embryo. No fucking way. That's why you say you'd rather save the newborn baby over the two zygotes, because zygotes are fucking jack shit. To be honest, no one gives a fuck about zygotes, bro.
It's a absolutely atrocious scenario where you have to pick between two
Okay, I
terrible
am not
outcomes.
going to lose sleep overnight over those zygotes dying. I am not. I'm not going to think about it, bro. I'm unironically going to care more about the fly I just swatted last night than I'm going to care about the zygote, sir. To be totally honest with you, I definitely care more about a fly than a zygote. And I slap the fuck out of flies, bro. Tell me what I'll do with zygotes.
Okay, yeah, you have a good point with sentience.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Exactly. Based.
Okay, maybe you're right about that.
Tina, thank you for the
I'll
wolf.
I'll admit I'll admit that you're right about that.
Yes.
I
Yes,
lost on abortion.
that is the argument that convinces you. Let's go.
Yes, I
So you
think
don't
that's
support
the
Trump
most.
anymore?
I think no, that's just. I mean, Trump doesn't support a complete and total abortion ban anyway. There are still
Okay.
plenty of other reasons why I
So
support him.
what are the reasons why you support Trump then?
Another one of the reasons why I support him is moving the Overton window to the right on things in general, including getting rid of things like DEI.
Can you tell me what DEI stands for?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay. Can you name one DEI policy that Kamala Harris supports that you disagree with?
I'd have to go back and look at her specific policy proposals from 2024. But if you look at how the country was run under Biden,
Can you
then
name
you can
one
see
DEI policy that Biden passed that you disagree with?
I don't know the exact law, but he mandated that companies that get federal grants have to have a specific amount of non-white employees.
He said companies that get federal grants have to have a specific amount of non-white employees. Can I
Companies
have the
that got
source on that?
federal, you can, like I said, I don't know the exact law, but companies that worked
I
with
can
the
give you
Biden
time.
administration, companies that work with the Biden administration had to have a specific amount of non-white employees. And so because
Is
of
that
that, they
just
would
ones that
have
they is that
when
just ones that they gave future contracts to, or ones that they were already had contracts with?
I'm not sure of the specifics.
So maybe you should go look into that.
All right.
Yes, I am the zygote slapper. I am. Jessica and Zach, thank you very much for the $20. Hey man, holy shit, the guests have been inside for the past few days. Your patience is the next level. I wanted to drive my chair through a wall, just listening to them. Take care of your mental health. Keep being a great role model for our next generation of young men. Thank you so much, Zach. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you as always. John, thank you very much. Again, I really appreciate it. Thank you. I think I'm fully caught up there. Jenny, thank you very much for the $5. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Seriously, right? Isn't that absurd? Kelsey, thank you very much for the $5. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Exactly, right? It's like literally in like necessary circumstances. Pat, thank you for the $5. Thank you very much. Literally medical. As well as Jody, thank you very much. The 9 months is a medical guideline. Yeah, very true. As well as Jody, thank you very much for the $10. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. As well as Kendall, thank you very much for the $3. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
My
Of course.
central
Thank you very
problem with
much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And
my
no, I have not actually. I'd love to talk to them though. Lydia, thank you very much for the $5. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bethany, thank you for the dollar as well. Thank you very much. Haley, thank you very much for the dollar as well. Thank you. Can you tell us about how to get in the live stream queue? Yeah, just gotta click the guest in the bottom right, the two people, the blue and the pink person, and then you hit send request. That is the way how you join the stream. Let me make sure I'm completely caught up here on PayPal and on YouTube. Donald, thank you very much for the dollar. Thank you very much. Bianca, thank you for the dollar as well. Day 23 based. Madeline, thank you for the $2. Thank you. I'm fully caught up over on PayPal. Let me make sure I'm caught up over on YouTube Super Chat, and then we'll call it, or we'll continue the conversation. Um, Mila, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $2. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Deb, thank you for the $2. Mila, thank you very much for the $10. Thank you. Either an alien, psychopath, I can't imagine being a human being exhibiting this much patience. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Of course. Rex, thank you very much for the $5. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's a good question to ask. Air Loca, thank you very much for the $5. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I get that. Painfully, thank you very much for the $10. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mila. Thank you very much for the $2. King of the Golden State, thank you for the $10. Thank you very much. Painfully with the $5. And then Chica, thank you very much for the $5. And then Darcel with the $5. Thank you very much. And then Anastasia, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the $5 or for the Galaxy. Thank you. Alrighty, I am fully caught up. If you want to support me as always, Venmo, PayPal, link tree in the bio, as well as the description of the YouTube, as well as you can support me over YouTube Super Chat as always. I'll be on live probably for another hour or so. Just letting everyone know. Alright, did you find what you're looking for?
Yeah, the Biden administration actively tried to increase the amount of contracts that they did with non-white businesses and female-run businesses, what they call disadvantaged
So it tried
businesses.
to increase the amount of contracts they had with those companies is not doing so because they're unqualified or causing certain companies that they already had contracts with to change their policies. That's simply just saying, yes, let's give contracts to companies in which already have these certain demographics, because historically, when we've been giving out contracts and grants to companies, they haven't been representative of America in the manner in which they should be. That's not DEI in a manner in which is specifically going to lead to unqualified outcomes. That's just meant to extend opportunities to those who are qualified already.
The problem with DEI is that not all fields are exactly like racially mirroring the racial outputs of the country.
Exactly. They're not. But this is specifically meant to extend access to individuals that are already qualified to do the jobs, specifically in manners in which have not been so historically. These fields might not even be predominantly individuals specifically who are non-white. It just is the case that historically, right, the federal grants have not been applicable to almost any of the individuals who are non-white. So to apply to the individuals who are non-white in the very first place is to extend diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is not a bad thing. What you just brought up is not a bad example of anything. This doesn't lead to any detrimental or bad outcome.
That's the on-paper definition of DEI, yes. But if you look at what it's led to in reality, it has objectively led to the decrease in standards.
No, what particular policy being passed led to a decrease in standards? Because like the one you just mentioned isn't something that leads to a decrease in standards.
Do you remember the Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard lawsuit from the Supreme Court?
That's affirmative action. Affirmative action is different from the common understanding of DEIA.
DEIA.
Yes, DEIA. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility.
Okay, well, in practice, DEI has led to affirmative action, which has led to what's it called? Merit requirements being decreased.
Okay. So affirmative action was shut down by the Supreme Court, and DEIA is not calling for affirmative action. Affirmative action is a different type of policy than specifically DEIA, at least the common conception of it. And you can agree with DEIA without agreeing with affirmative action. and
Well,
how it was constructed at the time.
I think there should purely be a merit-based system where you pick the best option no matter what.
Yeah, and that's what I think DEIA is meant to do. DEIA is meant to establish more of a merit-based system rather than it being predicated off of the bias and discrimination that's existed in our systems historically.
In practice, DEI leads people to actively try to hire and employ and work with more non-white and non-male companies and people, which in the real world has inevitably led to the lowering of standards.
Okay, well that's not true. I'd like a source for that.
Sure, if you look at the court case, they showed that if they went to purely merit-based enrollment, black enrollment would have gone from 11% to 0.7%, and Asian enrollment would have gone all the way up to nearly 40%.
That's not true. Also, have you taken a look at what happened since affirmative action overturned?
The it has started to go up, yeah.
Yeah,
This next
black enrollment increased and Asian enrollment decreased. So the actual Asian people that were used in that case as tokens were disproportionately affected in a negative manner with affirmative action being overturned. So
Asian
you're just wrong.
enrollment Asian enrollment is actually increasing over the next school year.
No, with Harvard, no, it went down.
It's going up though. It's going up to I believe 41%.
Now, I'm saying
Or
after it was overturned, after it was overturned, it was the immediate impact and effects saw that Asian enrollment was negatively impacted. But I wanted to come up and talk about DEIA. I mean, I think that talking about affirmative action is kind of moot because it's gone. But um, do you know what a blind resume is?
where you just submit a resume without the name, yeah.
Yes, you remove any type of indicators, markers. You just have like the meat of the actual resume. That's DEIA. Like a blind resume is a specific example of DEIA where you're looking at the merit of the people and not necessarily any factors that would influence the decision.
On
So when
paper,
people talk,
that would be pure merit, and that's what DEI is on paper, yes.
okay, can you give me an example of any instances of DEIA, not affirmative action, but DEIA, where someone's participating in that practice and it wasn't?
It's a Bloomberg article from I believe 2023 that was called the market. Let me see what.
How's it going, Parker?
Good.
How's your
Yeah.
debates been?
They've been all right. Yeah, what year was the affirmative action overturning?
I want to say it was while Biden was in office after Trump. So 21, 22, somewhere around there.
There's a Bloomberg article from 2023.
21 or 22. Because it seems like it's the population has stayed stagnant since around 2019. 2019, it was seemingly like actually around the same amount. Yeah, actually, I mean, it seems like the population has stayed very stagnant.
Wait, are you
Of
talking about Harvard?
For Asian Americans in Harvard, it
Yeah,
stayed
you would look
pretty
at
much. It's
the acceptance rates.
Yeah, I see that it's
Yeah.
I see that the specific enrollment as a percentage of the overall students. Is that what you were
Mm.
referencing?
No, I was talking about the actual acceptance rates,
Oh, okay.
not necessarily yeah.
I'd have to check acceptance rates because I was looking at proportion.
No. But I think proportion, like the entire overall base, pretty much stayed even. It's just like moving forward.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I what's his name? Assassin.
He's
Uh,
telling me about a Bloomberg article, but he's out of the app.
oh, okay.
It was called Corporate America Promised to Hire a Lot More People of Color. It actually did. And it was showing that during a portion of the Biden administration, 94% of new hires in the S&P 500 were non-white. I don't think you get that from just purely merit.
Okay.
What was the citation again? One more
Um,
time.
Bloomberg from September 25th, 2023. Corporate America promised to hire a lot more people of color. It actually did.
To hire,
mm,
or that's the article from Bloomberg. Corporate America
Yeah.
promised to hire more people of color. It actually did. Uh,
And this is a
behind a
left-wing
paywall.
source, so this isn't like a...
Can you see a Parker's behind a paywall for me?
it does look like it's under a paywall, yeah. And based on what it does tell you, it seems like, yeah, all it really says is specifically that they hired more people to address racial imbalances in workplaces.
You can't get a 94% non-white hiring rate in a majority white country without picking people who are less
Um,
qualified.
it says the year after the Black Lives Matter protest, the S&P 100 added more than 300,000 jobs. 94% went to people of color. That's simply just like what those companies were doing in those specific circumstances in response because they heavily underemployed people of color. So that's just
Yeah.
evidence of like 1 year after. Okay, well, I'm confused how this is like even a DEI policy. That's just them hiring more people of color.
And that's what I was just going to say. From what I can see, this says nothing about the actual, like this being a institution because there's no
Yeah, this has
law or
nothing to do with
legislation
DEI.
of
Yeah.
DEIA. Yeah.
Yeah, literally has nothing to do with DEIA. This is actually like the very beginning of the administration for Biden. Yeah, and they said that they established this in 2020, which was under Trump.
Yeah, I mean, in
Yeah, it
Trump's
says
first
yeah,
term,
yeah. By the way, this is in 2021, the first year of Biden's administration, and it's obtaining data between 2020 and 2021,
yeah, for
which
Trump's first
includes
term,
part of Trump's term.
yeah, the very end of Trump's first term was...
Yeah, so how can you blame Democrats?
Well, the very end of Trump's first... I mean, he was never in complete control of the government during his first term, but I'm not the biggest fan of his
And
first
Democrats
term. I
are
don't
in
think
complete control of the government?
they were during Biden's term.
Oh, really? What makes you think that?
Well, I mean, Republicans controlled the Senate for part of it,
And
but for the
and they
most
control the
part,
Senate and the House and the
yes,
Supreme Court.
the second half
Hell,
they
they're
did.
doing that right now.
The second half they controlled
The
the
House, the
Congress
Senate,
and
the
the
Supreme
Supreme Court.
Court.
Yes, but
Because when did the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court?
the federal bureaucracy has generally been controlled by the left.
I,
Mm.
I just I just want to call out that you've now like shifted away from substantiating the claim that somehow uh, there's DEIA practices that have been instituted that have veered away from any type of merit-based decision to just saying, oh, well, Trump didn't really have control of the government. I think that like understanding your claim is not only something that doesn't make sense, but it's not even a thing that we see. All
And I'm
right. I mean,
saying
even
that
if you,
corporate America instituted those policies during Trump's first term because he didn't have that much power over in the
No,
government
because
during his first
because
term.
of the fact that it was a response to the Black Lives
Yes,
Matter protests,
yes, it was a
specifically in
response
the
to the
fact
Summer
that
of
people were
Love.
calling out racial disparities and racist treatment.
and last thing,
After,
I gotta jump because my wife and I are gonna go grab lunch. The one thing that I'll say is that corporate America, like that's a private business, so no one mandated them to do anything. So if they made the decision to actually institute DEIA policies, that's because they made the decision to do so. Just like companies, even though Donald Trump talked about how much he wanted to shift away from DEIA, companies started canceling their DEIA practices prior to Donald Trump even getting in office. So you can even talk about like, oh, you think this or you think that, but no one forced them to actually do so because there's no legislation requiring DEIA policy. So it sounds like you're just like yelling at the wind. Anyway, Parker, I appreciate you for having me over. We're about to go grab some food.
Of course, have some good food.
I mean, yeah,
Cool.
but
See you later.
Democrats
I'll see
obviously
you.
aren't going to pass a law that's like you have to hire less white people and Asian people. That's
Okay, so
stupid.
then how can you claim that specifically it suited their policies?
If it's social policy And
I think it's due to like a social movement. I don't think it's due to democratic policy.
a social movement that leads to
Is it
social
against your
pressure.
values? Wait, are you against the values of Black Lives Matter?
On paper, what the value of Black Lives Matter is? No, same thing with feminism. On paper, feminism is that men and women are equal. On paper, Black Lives Matter is that all races are equal.
Okay,
That,
so that, in
on
that Black
paper,
Lives
I agree
Matter.
with.
So then what do you disagree with?
In
So
reality,
what
that's
about
not
the
what they
movement
are.
as in general? Do you disagree with?
Well, the Black Lives Matter organization is like insanely corrupt,
We're
so
not
I
talking
don't
about
like
any
them.
organization. And by the way, if you think the Black Lives Matter organization is corrupt and you support Donald Trump, you are the most hypocritical lunatic I've ever talked to. He has made billions from the presidency in the past 2 years. Talk about making money from a movement, dude. You don't give a shit about corruption. You guys make all these points, but then literally don't give a shit when Trump uses the position of presidency to make billions, to drop a meme coin and to rug pull it. It's embarrassing. It really is.
Yeah, I think that one, I think the coin thing was bad.
It's a little more than just the coin, though, too. And also, let's be clear: if you cared about corruption, you wouldn't be supporting Trump. You don't give a shit about corruption, so don't give me that bullshit with BLM. I'm asking you why you don't support the movement.
Well, the movement, just look at the BLM riots of 2020.
No, the general social movement, like the peaceful protests, the overwhelming vast majority of protests were peaceful, right?
In reality, I think the movement became a black supremacist movement.
Black Lives Matter, the movement, is not a black supremacist movement. You are being ridiculous.
Like, on paper, I agree with it. The idea that
So then
everyone is equal.
so then you agree with the social movement of Black Lives Matter.
What it became in reality isn't what it was on paper.
Okay, what makes you think that in reality it became a quote unquote black supremacist movement?
Because a lot of the people who are involved in it openly hate white people and Asian people.
So, okay, so you think that most people who are engaged in the Black Lives Matter social movement,
Not
right?
most, the leaders.
No, I'm not talking about any organization right now. Which, by the way, you'd have to
The
specify the
leaders of the
individuals. I don't
movement.
think you can. I'm talking right now specifically the general social movement. Like, do you agree with the general social movement?
It's values on paper, yeah.
No, with the people that were generally in the peaceful protests.
The peaceful protests, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so then you agree with Black Lives Matter as a general social movement and like the impact it had on society in general. You might disagree with the actions of some individuals specifically in the context of like the organizational element of like some of the protests, but you did not care at all about calling out that type of corruption within the Trump administration or within Trump himself, the Trump family, etc. None of that is something that you'd ever bring up or that you'd say is a reason to stop supporting Trump. So if that's a reason to stop supporting BLM as a social movement, then that's a reason to stop supporting MAGA as a social movement, is it not?
Well, I think the policy, I think the impact that it had led to things like affirmative action, which I don't agree, which I think is bad.
When was affirmative action passed?
It became like a big thing. It existed in the 2010s before BLM became really big, but BLM
Okay, so
also existed then.
when was BLM?
BLM existed in the before it became like a nationwide thing in 2020,
Okay,
and
so
the
so so
affirmative action DEI
let
also existed before then, but it became like a national
let's be clear.
policy.
This predates all of that. All of that movement that you're talking about, what you disagreed with, is all after what you just mentioned with affirmative action. So you can't say it comes from BLM when the broader social movement of Black Lives Matter comes after the existence of affirmative action. You fucking genius.
No, it led to it becoming a mainstream
That makes no fucking sense because the
move.
mainstream social movement of Black Lives Matter came after the existence of affirmative action.
Yes, but affirmative action becoming a mainstream social push that the left in general pushed on corporations like with BlackRock, with ESG,
This is genuinely
that
the
they
stupidest
pushed
shit I've
on
ever
corporate
heard.
America.
You have to know this is dumb.
the impact of the social movement.
The impact of the social movement existed before the social movement became popular. Yeah.
The social movement existed before it became a mainstream thing as well.
Wait, no, but the mainstream effect of it can't be in place until the mainstream effect has even taken place.
They both existed before they became
So the
mainstream.
mainstream effect of Black Lives Matter cannot be affirmative action if the mainstream effect of Black Lives Matter came after the existence of affirmative action.
They both existed before they became mainstream.
No, I'm talking about the mainstream effect.
Yeah. BLM became
Do you think affirmative action became mainstream after Black Lives Matter became mainstream?
It was rising in popularity
Yes or no?
on the left during Trump's first term.
Do you think affirmative action became more mainstream when Black Lives Matter became more mainstream?
They both became more mainstream, yeah.
No. Because it already existed as a policy, my guy. Your whole argument
became like a social necessity.
Your whole argument is ridiculous. Try again.
It became a practical social necessity to have affirmative action policies post BLM.
An hour. Any final words?
I'll admit that you beat me on abortion, and I think that we still disagree on DEI and affirmative action because we haven't been able to talk about it for long enough.
Okay, well, I think that obviously the DEI policy here, right, doesn't get you to support Trump or even be on your side of the aisle. I genuinely don't understand how that's what you care about. Like, by the way, you care about the social impact of the Trump administration, but fail to consider that him being a racist could have a bad social impact. Him trying to undermine our democracy, our rule of law, could have a bad social impact. The fact that he sexualized his daughter could have a bad social impact for what he normalizes. The fact that he said he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years can have a bad social impact on what he normalizes. Like, Donald Trump's behavior of calling for the execution of some Democrats because it said to follow the law and to not follow unlawful orders, what that could provide as a social impact. Him being convicted of 34 felonies, him making billions from the presidency, him dropping a meme coin and rug pulling it, him doing all of these things. You don't think that's going to have a negative impact on us socially? Him preventing the release of the Epstein files, even though he's legally obligated to do so, isn't going to have a bad impact on us socially? Cozying up to North Korea as opposed to South Korea isn't going to have a bad impact on us socially? Starting the Iran war, causing prices and inflation to go up, causing a negative impact all around the world, destroying our relationships with our allies all around the world, isn't going to have an impact on us socially? Because to me, all of those things do. Him pardoning the violent rioters who beat police officers and calling them patriots, calling for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, has a bad social impact. But for some reason, the only bad social impact that you're going to consider is this.
Okay, so let me try to respond to all of them. The 10-year-old thing and the his daughter thing were stupid jokes that he made. I don't think he was a racist. I think the
34 liable of sex abusing Eugene Carroll.
Yeah, in Manhattan, New York, where he's like the most hated person on the planet. Obviously, he was going to get convicted of that.
All 9 people in the jury all indicated that Trump did this. 1 to 3 of the members on the jury were at least conservative, independent, apolitical, etc. Right? So not all Democrats against Trump that hate him. Okay, considering people who are non-biased, even people that Trump's own lawyers fought to keep on the jury, such as an individual that watched Tim Pool and thought he was a moderate.
Mm-hmm. Like, if Joe Biden went on trial in West Virginia, you would say that's obviously not fair. If you look at the details of the case, it makes no sense.
If you look at the details of the case, it does indicate guilt. Can you name one piece of evidence in the case you dispute?
She didn't know what year. She couldn't remember what year it happened. She couldn't remember what dress she was wearing.
1995 to 1996 is within 1 year. She does remember what dress. It was a Donna Karan dress. She had the dress, and she actually submitted it to the court so that specifically Donald Trump could give up his DNA. Within multiple years, he didn't give up his DNA, which could, under his view, if he never met her, proved he wasn't at the scene of the crime.
She couldn't remember the layout of the store. And a super famous...
That's just not true.
And of course, it just sounds exactly the same as... her story is almost exactly the same as an episode of Law and Order Special Victims Unit
that came out after this happened. That came out after she told her friends that testified in court that she told them that she was assaulted.
You could just have
And by the way,
them make that up.
that fucking show that you're talking about, that show, is a TV show about people who are sexist that happens in New York. That's Law and Order, happens in New York. Okay, so of course, stories of sexual assault will be similar to other stories of sexual assault because that show is based upon real cases, real victims, real survivors, things that happened in real life. That is that show. And the pattern of behavior will be prevalent in these cases as opposed to things that happen in real life. And no, it wasn't the exact same. Okay? There were slight distinctions that you can point to. Of course, there were similar elements, like the same store, right? Right, but like that's a store that's like rich luxury in New York, in Manhattan, that is known. That's not obviously the only time this store has ever been mentioned, right?
The specific dress that she had, didn't even like the specific dress wasn't even in circulation during the earlier dates of the time that she gave.
Yes, it was. What year was she?
Huh?
What year was she?
Her timeline was 1995 or 1996.
That's within 1 year, by the way, so you conceded on your point that she didn't know what timeline it was. Secondly, when did the dress come out?
I'm not 100% sure. I just remember it being a controversy that
what was the name of the person who came out with that dress line?
Donna Karen.
Okay. And it released in the 80s.
So
if it released in the 80s, this happened 1995, 1996. You're telling me that couldn't have happened? Get a grip on reality.
It was a point of contention during the trial.
And he was wrong on that. And that's why this was thrown out as a point, because that point of contention in the trial was proven false.
I think a trial happening for a political figure during a political run in a place where they're politically
It was before
hated.
his political run. 2023.
He announced his candidacy for the presidency before that.
When?
He announced it immediately following the 2022 midterms.
I would have to look back if that was true. Sure. But like,
he declared
you understand
his,
that she
candidacy.
accused him in 2019, right? Right.
Yeah, that was after he'd already gotten into politics.
So, you think that just because someone accuses someone after they got into politics, that means that they didn't make a true accusation?
I think the fact that she didn't come out about it for decades until he was already a very controversial mainstream.
Many victims take decades to come out. But she told her friends at the time in which it happened, and that's why they testified in court under oath that this occurred.
Well,
so
yeah,
how can you explain that?
Lying, then she could get her friends to lie as well.
Oh, okay. So the friends are lying under oath?
People lie under oath all the time.
Okay. So even though there's no supporting reason to believe that, and this is totally consistent with the case, even though there are multiple different things like the psychologist that's verifying the trauma that she went through, we can point to the fact that there was the dress where Donald Trump didn't give up his DNA within the time slot allotted. He said that he wouldn't have sex abused her because she's quote unquote not his type, which means he would sex abuse someone that is his type. And he mistook a picture of her with his ex-wife, indicating that she was his type, so he would have sex abused her.
I don't think saying she's not my type means that he would sexually assault someone who is his type.
He said he wouldn't have sexually abused her because she's quote unquote not his type.
Mm-hmm. I don't
which
think
means
that means
which literally means and implicates he would sexually abuse someone if they were his type.
I don't think that's not the meaning of what he was
saying. That
saying.
is literally the meaning of that statement. That's why it's a ridiculous statement to make.
That's not what the meaning of his statement was, though. He went to court to argue that he didn't sexually assault her at all. And then he said she's not even my type, so it wouldn't even make sense for me to have done that.
Yeah, which means I wouldn't sexually abuse her because she's quote unquote not my type, which means you would sexually abuse someone who is your type.
He was using that as one of the reasons to say why he didn't do it.
Yeah, he wouldn't have sexually abused someone who's not his type.
He was saying,
does that mean he would sexually abuse someone that is his type?
No.
So then what's the point of saying that?
He's saying in this case, one of the reasons why...
Do you think rape has anything to do with... Like, would you say that in a case that like one of your family members is less likely to be a because they're not a supermodel?
No.
So obviously you wouldn't say that's like something to bring up in this case. That would be fucked up, right?
I think that was just one comment that he made to be like, "Oh yeah, I didn't do this. I'm going to court to try and prove that I
He said this
didn't.
in the
I
deposition.
never." Yeah, he's saying I never did this, and she's not even my type, so it wouldn't even have made sense for me to.
Exactly. That's disgusting. And you don't understand the implications of that statement because you perpetuate this idea. Misu, thank you so much for the galaxy. It's kind of sick that you think that's normal or okay to say.
I think it was a dumb comment, but I
It's not just a
understand
dumb comment. That's an atrocious, disgusting, horrendous comment to make.
I understand what he was implying, though. I don't think he was saying I would sexually assault someone who's my type.
That's what I
I'm
think
not
that
reading it
statement
that
means.
way.
I mean, he also said he would grab women by the vagina without asking. He's also said
No, he
that
said he said on a leaked tape that because he is super rich, he can do that if he wants to, and women wouldn't. Because he's super rich, he's able to do that, unlike most people.
yeah, and he would just like he would do so. He doesn't have to ask.
Yeah, again, it was a dumb comment he made decades ago that was during
Which,
a
by the
way
way,
different culture.
if you do that to someone without asking, will you inevitably sexually assault someone because that person wouldn't want it because they didn't communicate consent
What he
prior
was
to
saying
you
is
engaging
he's
in the
able to do
action?
it because he's super rich, and women would want.
Wait, no, that's not the case, and that's why specifically when referencing E. Jean Carroll, what happened with her, this is exactly what happened. Is that inevitably, if he thinks he can just go around grabbing women by the vagina because every woman will just want him, there are going to be women who don't want that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would argue most women wouldn't want that, right?
Yeah.
Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, why the fuck would you think that it's okay to just go around doing that?
I don't think he was going around doing it. I think he was saying it as a dumb comment to be like, "Look how rich I am. I can do things that normal people can't."
Yeah, but you realize that's not something he can do either because that's literally fucking assault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's never okay.
Yeah.
That is not something you
that's
go around doing.
everyone
That
recognizes
is something that you
that's
need
not okay.
consent for, established prior to doing.
Everyone recognizes now that that's wrong. He said that like 25, 30 years ago, and the culture, especially in like high society where he was completely
This was
different.
20 years ago, and you somehow think that means it's justified because he was like an adult when this happened, sir?
It was in a completely different culture and society when he said it as a dumb example to be like, "Oh,
So,
look how rich I
even
am."
if that were true, so, and that doesn't mean it was okay then, even. And even if it was okay then, that doesn't justify it.
Yeah, I think it was a dumb comment. A stupid thing to say that he used
Yeah,
as
but do
like
you realize
a
that these are
stupid
negative
example to
social
brag.
impacts? Because you claim you care about the social impact that he has on our country, but you don't consider any of the negative social impacts that he has, the broad social negative impacts. Like, you have to understand these are negative from your perspective as well. You just conceded to that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's like a 100. I'm not one of those people who thinks every single thing Trump has ever done is great. I think the Iran war was a mistake. I think, what were some of the examples you brought up again? Some of the other examples?
The Iran war, lack of the release of the Epstein files,
Yeah, that was stupid.
held
The way he
civilly liable
handled that
sex abuse, pardon the violent rioters who beat police officers, call them patriots, call for the execution of some Democrats because they said to follow the law and to not follow unlawful orders. Get closer to North Korea as opposed to South Korea, destroy our relationship with our allies all around the world by threatening to annex our allies. I can point to a bunch of different things, right?
I think
Like I'm
not
sorry,
having.
all of these things in of themselves are enough reason to stop supporting a candidate if we're
I think
referencing a singular individual. All of them
I,
together, now you're fucking crazy. Is
I think
essentially
not
my
being.
point.
I think not being super hostile towards a nuclear-armed country is a good thing. I think having at least relations that aren't actively hostile with North Korea,
So you
because
want
they
to
have
have
nukes, is a good
non-act. So
thing.
you don't want hostile relations with Russia.
Well, they actively
We're at a
invaded.
proxy war with Russia right now. Do they have nukes?
Yes, the difference is they're actively in a
So
war
why
right now
apply
where they
this to
invaded
North
a
Korea
Western
but not to
country.
Russia?
Because North Korea isn't like if North Korea actively if North Korea invaded South Korea, then yes, I would say we should have hostile relations with them because they're attacking our allies. But North Korea hasn't done that. They're just a hermit country.
Okay. So there's a point to make there, but you have to understand that he's picking North Korea as opposed to South Korea, like as if North Korea stopped their missile testing, because he's telling South Korea to stop doing their military exercises, right?
Well,
But then he
we do
doesn't tell
military.
North Korea to stop their missile testing.
What he's trying to do is he's trying to lower the tensions with North Korea and appease them to a point where we don't get to the point where we
Hell,
are with
North Korea
Russia.
is sending troops to help Russia.
hmm Yeah, they're a totalitarian dictatorship. You're not going to be able to
North Korea
wrangle
is the
them.
hermit country that is sending troops actually to Russia. Actually, okay, hermit
They sent
country sending troops.
they sent a handful of they sent a small amount of troops to Russia. Yes,
They sent
they're a
tens of thousands of troops to Russia.
Yeah, they also have the largest military on earth, so it's a very small amount of their soldiers. They have
So
they're a
they
totalitarian
sent
dictatorship.
tens of thousands of people.
hmm They're a totalitarian dictatorship. We can't just tell them to do whatever we want them to do and they'll do it. What we have to do, it's a bad scenario because they're a country that actively disagrees with almost all of our values and they're
But
nuclear
I feel
arms.
like
So
you're
we have to.
misunderstanding the point that I'm making is that he's distancing us from our allies, like South Korea, to get closer to countries like North Korea.
Well, I mean, South Korea is on the border with North Korea,
Wait,
so
and why
they're
do we need to
obviously
get
going to
closer
be.
to them if they're a hermit?
We don't need to get closer to them. We just
Yeah,
can't. We want to
that doesn't
get to
make.
the
How does it
point
make us safer if they're a hermit and not going to do anything?
because we want to lower tensions
But
with
there
them
aren't
and
tensions.
get
They're a
it.
hermit.
But if we push them towards thinking,
Remember, you said that they're a hermit. So
yeah, if
why
we
would we have to reduce tensions with
that's like
them?
that's the nickname of the country, the Hermit Kingdom.
You have to understand that's what you specifically. Well, I don't know
hmm
if any other nickname. That was the name that you specifically used, and I assumed that's the way that you're using it because like you think that they're socially isolated. They don't really
Yes,
engage. They're not a threat. So if they're not a threat, they're not social, and they're completely socially isolated. Please explain to me why you think that we need to reduce tensions.
they're not a threat now, but we want to
So then why do we need to
have
reduce tensions now?
so that we don't actively antagonize them towards ending up in a situation like we are now with Russia
Yeah,
and
yeah, because
Ukraine.
Trump is
We
less
don't.
antagonizing. You're totally right. Yeah. That sounds like a great idea. Trump is definitely the less antagonizing candidate.
Well, Trump's policy is the madman policy.
So the complete opposite of the get rid of the limiting of the antagonization.
I think if it's done right, it
The
ends up
madman
limiting.
policy actually, but not with North Korea. Okay. No
I
madman
think
policy with them actually, okay?
well, using
We
madman
gotta be
policy
nice.
on
We
a
gotta be
mad.
nice. We like Kim Jong Un actually. Okay, we want to be just like him actually.
Yeah, using the madman policy on another madman leader is like incredibly dangerous. So
So
in
don't
that
use the
scenario,
madman policy.
it's not a blanket
So you
thing
want to
that you
use the
can use in
madman
all
policy
cases.
against our allies, and that's it
Well, I mean, like getting better treaties and negotiations for us,
with our
trade
against
deals
our
and stuff.
allies. Yeah. So madman against our allies, but don't madman against the other madmen, right? So the people
Against
that don't deserve it, don't do it against them. But the people who don't deserve it, do it against them. To take
with our
advantage of
enemies,
them.
with our enemies, it's a case by case scenario.
Okay. All right.
We have
I'm
to look
done.
at our enemies and see which ones are.
I'm done. I'm done, bruv. I'm done, bruv. You're welcome to come up a different time, man.